Bud Light was the straw that broke the camel's back, and this is what winning a culture war looks like. So pat yourselves on the back, ladies and gentlemen, because you decided not to buy a beer. You have seen tremendous victories in the culture war. In this tweet from End Wokeness, he says Xbox removes their LGBTQ plus Pride logo 4 days into Pride Month. Wow, there are memes about this where it's the guy looking at the camera saying, "It's coming as a tornado," and then it's all the corporate logos that are rainbows. It's the image of all of the corporate logos changed to rainbows, but in Saudi Arabia they stay the same, and typically they kept these logos up for some time. It's Pride Month, so it's like, oh, here we go, all the logos are going to be rainbows. And then I countered saying, make a month in July, everybody put up pictures of American flags for the whole month. I kind of feel like we should just start doing it now, because we're seeing major institutions and corporations remove their pride flag logos. Forbes says, Navy removes Pride Month posts amid right-wing backlash. NASCAR Major League Baseball also targeted Pride Month begins, and all these companies think they're going to play the culture war game, the pop culture game, and put up these flags. But after seeing what happened with Bud Light, apparently that's no more. It's done. Not every single corporation, of course. But many are saying the backlash that they're seeing from regular people is so intense that they're pulling these logos down, and that's all it took. How did we get to this point where every single company is putting up a flag about a person's sexuality because it was pop culture? Now don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people talk about the Corporate Equality Index, CEI, and ESG scores and all of that stuff, and it matters to a certain degree, but if a corporation, if an institution, thinks they will be harmed by doing a thing, they back off from doing it. That's the purpose of CEI and ESG. What these things are effectively are social credit score, I'll put it that way, and the way they see it. If we want to get loans, if we want to get financing, if we want to participate, we have to have good ESG scores. That's how everything's being handled these days. The Federal Reserve went woke. But what happens if it costs you got a company that sells, let's say you got a company that plays baseball, Major League Baseball, and they have these banks saying, look, if you want financing from us for any of your endeavors, you've got to have good ESG scores. They say, okay, they will be harmed if they don't. You see how that works. But what happens then when all of their customers and their players say enough? Then they go to the bank and they say, look, financing is great, but why would we want to take any financing or a loan or any kind of credit if we can't pay it back because we have no customers? So they say we'll take customers over debt. That's the power of being the consumer. And you know why we got this far? Because the far left did exactly what people are doing now. The far left would message a company like, why aren't you putting up a pride flag? And they'd be like, oh, we're getting a lot of heat for this, and they do it. And it's true. The fake Ramaswamy talked about it. He said he worked for $1 billion, or he started a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company. Dude's worth around $500 million. And he said that one day they come to him, I guess it was like his advisor, whatever, and said you need to put up a black square on your social media profile to support George Floyd. And he was like, oh, okay, sure, I guess. And then he does, and he's not even thinking about it. Then they said you need to write something, and he goes, sure. And then he wrote something like, I hope the country can come together and heal, and that we stop fighting. And they came to him and said this wasn't good enough, and he was like, I did what you asked. Then he had attacks from the far left, resignations from his friends and advisors at his company, and then he got pissed off and said, what is going on? Why am I being attacked? I didn't do anything. And that's happening. These companies were getting attacked, and they're like, okay, well, everybody wants the pride flags up. But then people on the right stopped buying a beer, and it was that simple. Bud Light's sales are down near 30%, and they're not recovering. I got another story. The ad agency behind that is in panic because they're the one who set it up. Imagine being the marketing agency behind the Bud Light scandal. Anybody who hires that company, while they got cojones, if you know what I mean. Like, let's roll the dice on this one. talk about being wrong in marketing and wrong as wrong can be. Typically a marketing campaign barely moves the needle. You buy an ad, you run commercials, and you hope you get some recognition, but earned media is always better. Imagine paying for marketing and ripping 30% of your market share straight out. You paid for that. Amazing. Take a look at this from Forbes. They say companies daring to declare their support for Pride Month, including those that simply adopt a rainbow-colored logo for June, are facing online attacks from right-wing social media users, leading the Navy to delete its Pride posts as boycott threats against any company deemed woke for outreach to the LGBTQ community continue to go viral. And there it is, continue to go viral. Do you get it? Continue to go viral. That's it right there. Regular people, the average person, they ain't paying attention. They don't know, they don't care. Where was I the other day? I was at the Charlestown races. I saw a lady, she was chatted up having a good time, and she goes, let me get a Bud Light to the server, and I'm thinking, I'm laughing at myself. I'm like, look, they're regular people who don't care, don't pay attention. They just want a light beer. What am I gonna do about ma'am? Don't buy that. But no, you buy your beer, you do whatever you want. But what's happening now is that regular people who typically don't pay attention, who want attention, maybe it's a 22-year-old guy, and he's like, I don't know or care about any of this stuff, but then, all of a sudden he sees his buddy a million views on TikTok, and he's going like, what? Maybe not TikTok, cause I'll probably ban you for this, but he's got 1 million hits, he's got 10,000 likes, and he's like, how did he get so many hits? And then he looks and it's his buddy filming himself in a gas station pointing at Bud Light. Go to her, Bud Light's so dumb. And he's like, yeah, I think Bud Light's dumb too. And then he's just filming videos. So many people are motivated by social acceptance. So many people that once it starts appearing to be popular, whether it is or isn't, regular people just embrace it to fit in. And that's partly the Pride phenomenon. Many people are just like, it's on TV, it's on social media, it's what you see, that's what we want to make. And that was driven by social media algorithms and the wokeness of these companies. They ban you if you don't, they promote you if you do. So what happens? People who make the videos get 1 million hits, and then everyone else is like, I want 1 million hits too, I want to be an influencer and a YouTuber and make all this money. But what about the people who stood strong, led the charge, the true heroes who never gave up, the people who pay attention to the news and politics? That here's what I think. And now you've got regular people seeing posts from them get so much traffic. Virality is the key. You want 1 million hits, you want to be a big famous YouTuber. Well, be honest, call out the garbage, stand up to the woke mobs, and you'll get the hits, because regular people do not like wokeness. I am not. So let me differentiate. The average person, when confronted with this, probably says, I don't like it. The average person online who doesn't know much about politics or anything